Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms. And a lot of you probably already know that I've got a new building that's supposed to be delivered in the next week that's going to set in this spot. And my pad is not ready for the building. And I've had nothing but problems getting it ready. So it's time to kick that into gear. Step one of that is I've got a plate compactor in the shop. I'm going to get that set up and get it out here ready to use. Then I'll show you the problems I've been having, my plan A, plan B, and plan C, and what I'm going to do now. And we're going to get started on actually getting this ready so that we can get our building put up. So let's go get started. So this plate compactor is a 6.5 horse from Harbor Freight, made by Central Machinery. I've actually bought it several weeks ago and it got rained on once, so hopefully the instructions aren't ruined or anything like that. But I think it's really nice to assemble things up on this table, but it'd be hard to lift out of the box that way. So I'm going to cut the box from the side. Well, I'm glad to see it's all encased in styrofoam, so nothing got wet inside here. We'll see in a minute. I thought this video was going to be assembling this. It looks pretty much fully assembled. I went through the manual. Literally, the only thing you have to do is put these little handles on here that don't even require a wrench. Put gas and oil in it and fire it up. So I'm going to grab some 1030, get this thing set up, and we'll start running it. Airplane. Yeah. I couldn't find a funnel, so I went ahead and winterized my fuel storage and see if this will make a funnel for this one use. All right, looks like it's got enough oil in it. The instructions on this say that you're supposed to let it run for 5 minutes every use to get the engine fully warmed up before you put it to full throttle. It also says not to run it full throttle until it has 3 hours of use on the engine. So I'm going to go ahead and spread some rock out, and I'm going to run this over dirt, and I'm going to run it over rock, but I'm not going to run it at full throttle tonight. I'm going to try to break it in tonight and actually use it a little heavier tomorrow. Now, while this is actually warming up, I'm going to tell you where I stand with this project and what I'm going to do to get this ready for the building before it gets here because I'm running out of time. All right, so we have an on-off switch on the front. Then we have a fuel shut-off. I believe the fuel shut-off is right here, so we'll turn that on. And we've got it choked. They said the throttle you want to turn to about 1/3 speed. About 1/3 speed to start it. Let's see what happens. Well, I feel kind of dumb because it says to let it sit there and run, but when it's on, it wants to run away. That vibration makes it want to travel. If you turn the throttle all the way down, it'll stop moving because it stops vibrating. But when I did that the first time, it died. And now that it's been on a minute, maybe it'll stay running. I'm gonna move the camera over here after it runs for a little bit. Just at idle like this, we'll throttle it up and we'll try to grade some of this out where we have ridges or humps or valleys from the rain washing through. Alright, so in case you haven't been following along with the project to get this build site ready, I'll catch you up to speed real quick and then tell you what the new plan is. So I ordered this building in the spring and it's finally about to be delivered. The site we're putting it on had about a 5-foot drop over the span of the building, which meant there was quite a bit of grading that had to be done, and we had to build one side up and take the other side down, and I rented a mini excavator and I hired an experienced operator to come in here and help me do the work. Once we got done with the leveling, I told him what the salesman had told me, and that is that the easiest way to set this building is to put 2-foot by 2-foot by 6-foot long concrete blocks on top of the ground, and then you bolt your building on top of that. That is your footing or your stem wall. That sounded fine to me, but I'd hired an experienced operator and he told me it'd be better to dig a real footing and actually have concrete poured and the whole thing. And so I said, I'm going to take his advice. The problem is, once we dug the footings, I had contractors come in and I didn't even get bids for a whole floor. The plan was to have the footings done and then just fill in rock in between them. And my bids were from $8,000 to $12,000. And I just cannot spend that kind of money on this building because the building itself was already a significant purchase. So I decided to do it myself, and I made some contacts and I worked out a lot of details and how I could do this concrete myself. And I thought I had a pretty good plan in place, and I was still going to spend close to $3,000 and possibly have to hire someone to help me do the work, and it's going to take a lot of time, but that's what I wanted to do. Then the next thing that happened is these trenches we dug are clay, and we've had rain pretty consistent ever since we dug it, and there's basically been standing water in there the whole time. I do have a sump pump, and I could have sucked all that water out, but it's just a muddy mess, and really the bank needs some work. There needs to be some digging along where we'll drive in and out. I have a ton of work. I still need to spread topsoil over this clay right here. And I finally decided I'm not going to do concrete. I'm going to do what the salesman told me most people do with these buildings, which is put down those giant concrete blocks. Those blocks weigh almost 4,000 pounds apiece, and I'll be lining 20 of those up as the foundation for this Quonset hut. And I think that's going to be perfectly fine and do the job. So that's going to save me a lot of time, and it's going to save me a lot of money. Then inside the perimeter of that footing will be just a rock floor. I've already got 60 tons of rock setting there, ready to spread as soon as I get the blocks put in. Is that when I refill these trenches, they need to be packed tight if I'm setting the block on it. So I'm going to use the clay from down at the pond to fill in these holes to about 6 inches deep or so. And then I'm going to use my large stone and fill in that last 6 inches. And as I add each layer of clay and then finally add the stone, I will go all the way around this trench we dug and compact it so it's a good solid surface to set the block on. If you have any suggestions for me, let me know in the comments, but it just is not in the cards with everything else I have going on to spend $10,000 on these footings. Tomorrow is the last day before we get another stretch of rain coming through, so I'm going to be out here bright and early working on this tomorrow with the tractor and then the plate compactor. So come back and follow along with the progress of that and join us while we put up this Quonset hut.
All right, well, I was just running that at a low throttle in this little area kind of as a test, and you can really already tell a big difference between where I ran it and where I didn't. Where over here you can see the cracks in it. When you walk, it gives just a little bit, and just where I ran a couple passes with this, it feels a lot more solid. So I think this is going to be a big help as we work on this project, and I'm going to try to be out here early tomorrow morning getting this ready for the building. I hope that you'll check that video out and follow along with us as we build this Quonset hut. I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put more of our videos on the screen, and I'll see you next time.